Good afternoon and welcome to the third in a training series by the Iowa Finance Authority. I am Beth Mahaffey, Business Development Director, and with me this afternoon I have Lori Berry, the Community Development Director. I have Deb Howe, the Director of Single Family Production, and Sherry Crone, the Single Family Program Manager. So we want to thank you for joining us today to learn more about our programs and our processes. And this particular training is addressing the post-close compliance review and approval. As I mentioned earlier, this is the third in a series of 5. Originally it was 4, but we have added an additional training that will focus on the calculation of the grant reimbursement and best practices for the use of the PLUS grant of $2,500 and the military grant of $5,000. So this training, as I mentioned, will be oriented toward the post-close process. We have already had a couple of trainings. In the first training, we explained what homeownership programs IFA has and the resources that are available to you as lenders to help you understand the programs and which products would work best for your home buyers, and then the eligibility for those products. So this first session explained the what of IFA programs. The second session demonstrated the process of reserving an IFA first mortgage loan and the PLUS or military grant, and then later on down the road when we have the MCCs again, how to reserve a MCC or mortgage credit certificate, or take credit as we have named it. The training also explained the documents needed by IFA to verify eligibility of the borrower for our assistance, our programs, and then the process of submitting these documents to IFA, and the process of IFA then in turn providing a contingent approval for that loan close. So that training began explaining the how and when, and this training will continue with the how and when with our post-close process. The fourth training that will be coming along is Wednesday, December 16th at 9 a.m. and will be mainly hosted by our master servicer, the Idaho Housing and Finance Association. And actually that's December 16th at 9:30 a.m. I think I said 9:30 a.m. and we'll cover delivery of the loans after closing to our master servicer. And then, as I mentioned, we've added a 5th and final training to this series, and that will cover the calculation of the reimbursement of the $2,500 PLUS grant and the $5,000 military grant, and we'll address the best use for those practices. And this training will be held Friday, December 18th at 1 p.m. All of the training and presentations will eventually make it to our website also. We are editing some of the recordings and a few of the resources, but they will be on our website, and we will be sending out an email to all of you that have attended this recording, and that will be sent out to you also as soon as those are edited and finished up. We are going to ask that you hold your questions until the end. I will be monitoring periodically just to make sure everyone can hear us and that they're still logged on and haven't been knocked off by any chance. But again, we appreciate you joining us today and learning more about our post-close process. But if you want to learn about any of those other processes that I talked about earlier, those should be available on our website shortly. Also, always contact your loan production specialist if you have any questions. I did want to jump forward and then talk to you about our learning objectives with this training today. And after this training, you should be able to answer these questions. How do I submit a loan package to IFA for approval after closing? What documents are needed in that package upload? What is the process used by the LPS or loan production specialist to determine compliance and approval? And then what resources are available to assist with this process? So with that, I am going to pass off to Sherry, who will take us into Lender Online. And so we're giving you the full show here, how you get into Lender Online from our website. And then Sherry will talk to you about how she's a little bit different with her view because she is an administrator.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'm going to ask Deb or Beth or Lori to jump in at any time if they feel that I have missed an important point or think of something that needs to be shared with all of you. So be ready for that. I want to first say that we're making the assumption now that your loan has closed, because this is the post-close training. We've been through the pre-close already, and so now we're going through the post-close process and package. So once the loan has closed, you should be uploading your post-close package to both Lender Online and Lender Connection immediately, but no later than 10 days following the closing. And it's important to note that your upload and the timeliness of your upload can affect your lender compensation. If you're using a first mortgage product, the lender compensation is reduced if a complete package is not delivered to Idaho timely. And there's reductions in your lender compensation at 30, 60, and 90 days. And then after 90 days, IFA reserves the right not to purchase the loan. So it's very important that you upload your package immediately. And in the past, it's always been 10 business days, but now we're saying immediately for precisely that reason. Also, too, if you do not have a complete post-close package uploaded to the MCC or an MHOA reimbursement package, you run the risk of cancellation. And if there currently isn't funding available in that particular program, then your borrower won't get the MCC, or you may not get the military reimbursement. So those are two very important things to note. Down in the Forms and Resources section of Lender Online, or here on our spreadsheet or on our website, there's the SRP grid along with all of the other documents that I'm going to be referring to today. So at any time, if you need those, they are all available out there for you. Many, many documents, and again, pay credit documents, about anything we hope that you could ever possibly need.
And I just wanted to add in down a little further, Sherry, where it says lender training modules. So the first training is out there, the program overview with the resources. The second and third training will be there shortly. The recordings are not out there yet, but will also be there shortly. So that's where the current trainings are. And then you have other presentations and trainings, as you see, under some of the other headings. So I wanted to note that while you're there.
All right, so to log into the system, information for, and then lenders. And down here we have two separate links. Lender Online is Iowa Finance Authority portal for your post-close documents. Lender Connection is the master servicer, Idaho Housing and Finance Association, their lender portal. And sometimes we do get calls about some confusion between the two. So make sure you're selecting the right one when you're logging in. Or logging into Lender Online today. You should have a username and password. If you don't, you need to obtain that from your lender administrator. There's an administrator, at least one administrator, if not multiple administrators, in every lender shop. So if you don't have a username and password, you would need to see them. Previously, we talked a lot about the new reservation tab and making a new reservation. Once your reservation is made, you're going to do the majority of your work from the loan status tab. And if you come here looking for a loan and you can't find it, generally it's a problem because of the way your lender administrator has set you up in the system. Different roles in the system can view different things. So if you do have a problem, make sure you check with your lender administrator first before calling us. Once you're here at this loan status screen, you can sort on any one of these items, whichever works best for you. You can see the borrower's name along with the current stage that it's in, the status of that stage, and the date of last activity. So that's kind of an important screen for you to look at. There's a series of action buttons here that we're going to use. You won't see some of these because, as Beth mentioned, I'm an administrator, so I have more access than you will, but we're mostly going to use the View button, the PDF Docs button, and the eDocs button. I would also like to point out that there may be multiple reservations that you're working on. So if you have a Homes for Iowans reservation with a take credit MCC, you're going to have 2 reservations out here. And it's important to note that the Homes for Iowans begins with a 160, as you can see here. The First Home program begins with a 100. The military program begins with a 300. And any of the MCCs begin with an 800 or higher. So that's how, when you're determining what reservation you need to make your upload to, you can select the appropriate loan. The first thing you're going to want to do, and lender shops do this differently, so you may already have this form in your file, but you have the ability to print all of the forms that you need from either the PDF Docs button here or Program Documents up here. PDF Docs will pre-fill for you based on the information that you've input into the reservation. Program Documents is simply going to be a generic form that's in PDF format and is fillable, but you will have to enter all of the information manually. So if we were going to look for a post-close transmittal form, we would click on that PDF Docs and we see all the forms available here. We have a new form today that we're going to be demonstrating, and it's this post-close compliance transmittal form dated in December. I left the old one out there as well, and it will be removed on Monday, but for now they are both out there. Also, your pre-close transmittal form is out here, any reservation change form you might need, all of your MRB docs associated with a particular loan. If it was a MCC reservation, the MCC docs would be out here instead of the MRB docs. If it was a military, the military grant agreement and certification would be out there, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right, now I believe that we already have, the transmittal form out here. So what we have done is to combine all of the programs into one transmittal. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier for you to use. And we do ask that you're going to need to complete the first mortgage number, the military number if applicable, the take credit number if applicable, the borrower name, the lender name, the email, the telephone, and the lender contact. The lender contact is the person that we are going to use as our contact when we're corresponding with post-close documents. So please make sure you complete that. If you don't, it can cause a delay in review of your package because we don't know who to let know of our review or if we have questions. There's a series of instructions up there. We've pretty much gone through all of them. On the left-hand side of the page, you're going to see the First Home, Homes for Iowans, and Take Credit side. We're requesting the note, the mortgage, a notarized name affidavit, only if applicable, the final HUD or the closing disclosure, whichever is applicable for that particular loan, the warranty deed, the title guarantee commitment, the mortgage insurance or government commitment, and the case number, and only if it's new construction, a certificate of occupancy. It's important that you also review the file, which we will do in a minute, for any pre-close conditions that may be out there. And if you are submitting documents that will resolve some of those conditions, then you can check this box accordingly and let us know what you're sending so that we know whether it's there or not. So if you were submitting for the First Home program and you were submitting these items, you would obviously check these things. Okay. There's also room for comments at the bottom if you have anything that you would like to tell us. On the right-hand side of the page is the Military Homeownership Assistance Program. It essentially asks for the same things. So what we're doing now is there's a note at the bottom that if you have a first mortgage with a military grant, you only need upload what's not included in the first package. So in some instances, you may not have to upload anything additional to the Military Homeownership Assistance Package unless there's something specific out there that we've asked for based on that military grant alone. So if you're making only one upload, we ask If you float over this, it says check the box if included in the first mortgage upload. So if you're not uploading, please check these boxes to let us know that everything is included in your first mortgage package. Okay. Again, items to satisfy if you have additional items to add, and let us know what's there. And then comments at the bottom of the page. So if you have, hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. We do still need a separate package for the Take Credit program at this point in time. So you would simply upload the same package that you upload for the First Home and Homes for Iowans, again, into your Take Credit reservation.
And ideally, we would like the conditions submitted with this post-close package.
Yes. Yes. We will let you know if there's pre-close conditions that need to be satisfied prior to closing, but if there's something out there that you see that you're reviewing pre-close, hopefully you can provide the appropriate documentation and upload it all at once with the post-close package. We do ask that you try and list things in this order whenever possible. And it's also important to note that we don't ask for some items on this post-close transmittal. We don't ask for MRB documents. We don't ask for MCC documents, because it's our expectation that those are included with the pre-close package. So if you happen to not include them, there should be a corresponding condition out there for you that's been placed out there for post-close, and it would be one of the items that you want to check the box here and then say you were including the MRB 01 or 02 or 03 or whatever the case may be. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that the MRB 04, which is actually the rider to the mortgage in the First Home program, should be completed with the mortgage itself. We've had some lenders who are having them executed ahead of time and then submitting them with a pre-close package. But they are an attachment and a rider to the mortgage, and therefore they should be executed on that same day. You also need to be sure that in the mortgage itself, you need to be listing that applicable rider on the mortgage. Otherwise, that may stop your purchase with Idaho. We also ask that you do use and complete this form in every instance, because if you don't complete it, we don't have any idea who to contact when we've done our review, and that can also cause delay. So it's important to note that as well. You may have some questions about what documents do I submit other than the obvious listed here to satisfy a condition, if it says something about the income or something like that. And for that, there's an eligibility verification document out on the forms and resources that we just showed you, and that can be used to help you determine what is needed to resolve a particular condition. The other thing that is available, or one of the other things that we do in our review process, is to calculate the subsidy grant reimbursement at this point. So there is a subsidy reimbursement worksheet available in Lender Online, and it's under Program Documents. We're not going to go through it in detail today because we are going to have that separate training in a couple of weeks, but should you have any questions about using it, you should always contact your loan production specialist. While we use the subsidy reimbursement worksheet at the back end, we are strongly recommending that you use it at the beginning of the loan process so that the correct loan amount and closing cost calculations can be made so that you're utilizing the full grant and that you'll get the full grant reimbursement upon loan close. So more to come in a couple of weeks about that. We are happy to review closing disclosures or HUDs prior to close. If you have a question about one of those documents, and you can upload those in the pre-close section and then notify your loan production specialist accordingly. And they can go through that subsidy calculation worksheet with you so that you understand what it is and how to use it. There's also a settlement and closing costs guidance document available out there under Forms and Resources as well. And it is out there to assist you to know what is an allowed closing cost and what is not an allowed closing cost when we're looking at our reimbursement calculation. Okay. And with that, let's go back into Lender Online. All right. So we've prepared our transmittal. We've attached all of the appropriate documents. We've scanned them and saved them somewhere on our computer, and now we are ready to upload them. So we're going to use the eDocs button. And you can see here on the right-hand side of the page is the pre-closing loan file and the post-closing loan file. So you can add documents out here just as you did with the pre-closing. So we're going to click on Add New. Click here. And we're going to browse and determine where we've saved that on our computer. And you select it, open, upload. And hopefully it won't take too long. All right, so you can see now that we've actually successfully uploaded it, and we have that message. That doesn't mean we're done just yet, though you might think that you are. Now we have to name it. And we have some standard naming mechanisms out here, but you also have the capability to put in a customized document name. So in this instance, we're assuming that this is a complete post-close compliance package. So I selected the pre-defined name that says closed loan package. If it's something else, let's say you already uploaded the closed loan package and you forgot to include the appraisal. So now you're going to upload the appraisal. So when you do that, actually name the appraisal the appraisal. It's difficult for us to review when we have 5 packages out there that say closed loan package. So, and I'll demonstrate that for you in a minute. But now that we've added that, we're going to save it. And we'll get a message that says it's been successfully saved. And you can now see it out here. And you can see that I purposefully named both of these the same thing. So you can see if we have 5 or 6 of these, it's pretty hard to know what document is where when we're looking for particular things. You can also see out here that I added and saved and submitted this package this morning, but this one does not have the initial submitted date and time yet. And that's because I haven't used my submit button here. This is an important button. It's actually what updates our internal system with your upload. So then you get this message that says the eMortgage Docs loan file has actually been received by our agency. So now you're done. You can see both the date last modified and the initial submitted date and time here. Okay. You can also open these documents and review what you've submitted. So, you know, if you think you've already submitted something and perhaps a loan production specialist missed it, go out there, look it up, and say, hey, I submitted this, you know, on page 15. Did this not work, or is there something else you need, or maybe they just missed it? So keep those lines of communication open. Again, I would like to point out that there's a separate upload in some cases for the military, if you're using military only, or if there's additional documents that are just requested by the military. If you have a take credit reservation and you're using the Homes for Iowans product, you'll have 2 separate uploads, that sort of thing. All right, so let's go back to the loan status tab. The system updates every half hour on the hour and the half hour. So when you have made an upload, either, you know, when you come into the system 30 minutes after that fact, you should be able to see your upload out here. So you can see here the one I added this morning for I'm a Good Borrower. You can see that the closed package has been received, and we were Johnny on the spot, and we actually approved it today. Okay. You will also see future, if we commit the file, which means we're sending our approval, program compliance approval to Idaho, you will actually see something that says committed. And then when Idaho actually purchases the loan, this stage will change to say MS purchased. And at that point, you will know that everything is completely done. Okay, so we've reviewed the package. We have sent the contact person an email telling them that we have reviewed the package and that there are conditions out there that they can view in Lender Online. And to view conditions, you're going to click on the View button. There's a series of, information here at the top of the page. But down at the bottom of the page in the left-hand corner are all of your conditions. And I put some of these out here so you can see them. And we can kind of talk about them a little bit. But I also wanted to point out that sometimes it's hard, if you have a lot of conditions, you can't necessarily see them all. So if you wanted to print them all on one printable page, if you come up here and click the printable button, they will all show up on one page for you because some lenders like to put them in their files. You will also be able to see here your stage, status, and date. So here we can see that this reservation was reserved on November 20th. The pre-close package was received on 12/4. We provided a response on the same day. You closed it half hour ago. You've immediately uploaded your package and you submitted your closed package. We received it and we turned around and reviewed it and approved it on 12/4. Okay. The later stages you would see here would be the committed stage that we talked about, and then finally the MS purchase stage that we talked about. Conditions, let's talk about those a little bit. Hopefully they should be self-explanatory, but sometimes we are finding that there are some glitches in the system that may skew things a little bit. So if you ever have any questions about what we're asking for or what is needed, again, please email us and let us know. You should always have a contact person here that you should be able to know immediately who reviewed your file, and they will best be suited to answering your questions. You can see here that we generally ask for the final executed 1003. In this file, I added a condition thinking maybe the MRB 02 and 03 were missing from the pre-close review. So you would have come out here after the pre-close review, had these executed at the closing table, perfectly of course, and then be able to submit them with your post-close package. Again, you've obtained a third-party evaluation for that washer and dryer. And then occasionally there'll be a few disclaimers out here. For instance, IFA subsidy will not pay for personal property and that sort of thing. In this particular instance, we're also asking for a VOR to document a residence that wasn't covered by the last tax return. So apparently these people have moved from their 2014 tax return through the time that they completed their 1003. And then some more things down there like that. Again, if you have questions, those eligibility verification documents, and there's some other forms out there on the website that should be able to help you answer those questions. We do have a limited number of characters that we can include in these conditions, so sometimes our sentences are a bit cryptic, and you may find some interesting abbreviations out there. So again, just know that you can contact the person who's listed here to answer those questions for you. We do ask for 5 business days for review of your package, and if you aren't able to submit everything at once, each time you submit a document, we'll start that 5-day clock over. So that's why it's very important to submit a complete package. It makes your life easier, it makes our life easier, and then of course it makes your lender compensation higher, which we all like as well. Okay. I also wanted to show you on the Reports tab that you have the ability, depending on your role, to come out here and print all of the conditions that you may have. You can print them for a specific loan, or you can print them for your entire shop. depending on your role. I think, is that coming? No. So you have the ability to select different programs. You have the ability to select different stages, specific loan officers, last stage or any stage. So you can kind of play with this a bit, and it's an easy way that you can know immediately what's outstanding either on one loan or a series of loans all at once. Also out here, you have the ability to come out here and print master servicer conditions. Now, the master servicer doesn't begin their review until we've provided our approval of the program compliance package. So this would be a report that you would use after the fact, after Idaho has reviewed the loan. And I know that they also have reporting capability in Lender Connection. So I suspect that this is something you probably won't use very often, but I did want to let you know that it was out there. There's also some other reports out here you might find interesting and helpful. Commitment expiration, demographics reports, the purchase advice you get from Idaho, so that's kind of a moot point. And if you're looking to see how many documents were uploaded on a specific loan, you can run this eMortgage Docs report, and it will tell you exactly what was uploaded by date and time and who uploaded it and all that sort of thing. So that's available for you as well. So once we have approved our compliance package, as I said just a minute ago, Idaho will begin their review. They also ask for 5 business days, and they'll go into more detail in the training on Wednesday, December 16th at 9:30. And then if you would like more information about that subsidy calculation worksheet, we'll provide training on that on Friday, December 18th at 1 p.m. So that'll be a fun conversation to have on a Friday afternoon. So join us for that. So I think that is all I have today. Does anybody have anything else to add potentially?
Just, you know, if, and maybe you mentioned this, Sherry, if anyone has questions about who their loan production specialist is, there is that a table available again under the forms and resources under the lender tab on the website. So I think we will open up for questions at this point unless anyone has something to add. Okay? So we will go to questions and see what we have. Well, maybe we'll. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Okay. Well, it looks like so far the only question we have is regarding whether you'll get a PowerPoint. You know, we didn't have much on the PowerPoint because we were actually wanting to demonstrate the process and go through Lender Online. But that minimal PowerPoint will be out there that we had that really just talked about what the learning objectives were. The recording will be out there later, as we mentioned earlier in the training. And we will be sending out the resources, though, that Sherry referred to, and they are always available on our website, whether they're under the presentation tab or they're just up in the list of all the resources that we have available out there already. I'm going to check one more time just to see if anyone has a hand up of the attendees. Okay, so we have another question. The question is, I thought the MRB docs were not required as part of the pre-closing compliance package per the last training.
Well, we don't actually require them. They are listed on the pre-close transmittal, but if they're not there, we're not going to necessarily hold up a loan closing for that. We're just going to condition for them post-close. So it's helpful if you can upload them, simply because then we can take a look at them, and if there's any fixes that need to be made, then they can be made at the closing table, and hopefully you won't have to go back to your borrower again after closing.
Okay, well, that looks like the last question that we have in today's training. Please join us or recommend to whoever in the process with your lender entity would be doing the delivery to the master servicer and join us for that training. And then it would be beneficial, I'm assuming, to most anyone in your in the process to learn about the calculation, the reimbursement of the grant calculation training. So you are able to register for those trainings on our website, again, under the Lender tab, and then Events, or from the home page under the Events, and you can register by clicking on the applicable training. So thank you for your time today, and thank you for participating in our programs and supporting ISOP.